Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Shai, just tell me about that end of the first quarter. You guys go on a quick 5-0 run. How much do you feel like that maybe set the tone for what you guys were able to do to close out the first half?
Yeah, we ended quarters pretty well tonight. Against a team like that, with a lot of experience, talent, um, you have to take advantage of those moments. You got to end well, start well. We didn't start the game the way we wanted to, but we bounced back the way we did, and we were able to get a W.
You guys had some of those just hustle grit moments. Isaiah's block on AD, you ripping the ball out of Christie's hands. I think. I mean, just I guess tell me about the feeling out there on the floor in terms of the energy, effort level tonight.
Yeah, we lost our last two games. We know that. Want to get back on track. I think across the board, we just wanted to all do whatever it took to win. And we did a good job of course correcting tonight. We started a little slow, and the game was kind of playing into their hands, like slower pace, post ups. But once we got the pace and our defense into the game, we were pretty good.
Mark said that he lets you guys mix up the defenses going from zone to man. What all goes into knowing when to go zone or go back to man?
I don't know. He usually calls it when I'm on the court, so I just listen to him. Yeah.
Shai, one of the things Mark has said a bunch of times this year is when you reach the level you've reached, there's a sort of pull that naturally pulls you away from a team. You become a star
Myself
player.
or the team?
That a
Myself?
star player in general,
Okay.
that there's a pull away from a team, and that you make a really conscious effort to be part of the team. You talked about rebounding for guys getting shots up when they're getting working. What is it to you that makes that important to you? What are the steps you take to sort of consciously not be pulled away?
Two things. I really like my teammates. Like genuinely, like I got the group of guys is a special group of guys, and I enjoy being around them. And then I prioritize winning, and you can't win alone. I need every one of those guys to get done what I want to get done with the basketball game. So yeah, I would say it's those two things.
Shay, Mark was just talking about, Chet, some of those one-on-one opportunities he's getting, progressively, maybe taking the game into his hands. He says that starts in the locker room with, his teammates kind of trusting him to kind of create and whatnot. Just how have you seen that unfold, and just describe, that kind of back and forth, what the conversations might be about him progressively shooting more and being more aggressive and whatnot?
Yeah, Chet's so confident nobody has to tell him, to be honest. He's talented. He's a great feel for the game, and he has super high confidence. I think we're just seeing him get better in those situations. And we all know what kind of player he is. He's unselfish, and he really just wants to win at the end of the day. And we try to put him in situations where he could be successful, and vice versa.
Shai, there's been a lot of talk just about your improvement over the course of the years, just on the floor with your game. But I wanted to ask you about your improvement and growth as a leader. Some of what Brett asked about, like, not getting pulled away from the team. But where do you feel like you've grown the most of just, like, being the guy on the team and leading these other guys into games?
Stop me. Being a little bit more vocal, and then I would say like doing the little things, and leading by example is where I've kind of grown. Like loose balls, 50-50 balls, deflections, doing the little things that still matters, and leading by example.
Yeah, Shai. I read your interview with Kim K. Great job, by the way, on that. But I noticed in there you mentioned you don't listen to any music pregame. It gets you too, like, riled up. When you say that, does it get you, like, too anxious? Does it get you, like are you too in your head, too many thoughts? Like, can you kind of dive into that?
I think I'm just I'm too excited. I haven't done it in so long, so I don't know if I would like be okay doing it today. But I used to just get too excited and then be all over the place.
On that same note, what's your favorite kind of apple, and do you do slices or the full apple?
Before the game, I do the full apple, just because like I don't have time to slice it. But at home, I slice every chance I get. Sliced apples are always better than full apples. And then I want to say it's Macintosh is my favorite apple. Is that the red and green one? Yeah, that one.
Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Jalen, I just want to ask you about some of the hustle plays out there, particularly Isaiah's late block on AD. What did you feel out there just in terms of some of those kind of do-or-die plays?
That was a big play, just in general, kind of the way they were going. You know, they were making a run at that point. So the fact that he was able to do that kind of speaks to Zay and kind of just the rest of the team. Everybody was kind of doing that all night. I think that kind of wore on them. Obviously, they had a back-to-back, so we were trying to kind of use that a little bit to our advantage and be scrappy. And, you know, that play that you mentioned was kind of big for just kind of momentum of the game because then we come down and hit a three. So, yeah.
Jalen, we were just talking this morning about, you know, kind of that when you're out on the floor without Shai, without Chet, finding that line of being aggressive and getting other guys involved. How did you think in that second quarter? How did you think you walked that line, and what kind of changed in that second quarter for you guys?
I thought I was in action early, which helps. You know, it kind of helps you get engaged with the game a little easier. Yeah, just looking for my spots. If I'm open, shoot the ball. You know, as simple as that may sound. You know, being out there with Chet, who obviously has a lot of shooting gravity, and just like the guys I'm in there with, kind of helps me pick my spots, gives me a little bit more space, and then just playing unselfish like the rest of the team, being willing to kind of let the next man make a play, and I thought we did a good job of that. And then obviously it resulted in me being able to kind of find my shot as well.
What's the toughness level of trying to get back into a rhythm after missing a few games?
It's definitely a little weird, especially because I don't, like, even last year I only missed a couple, so just trying to find my feet and rhythm within the team. You know, it's especially hard when we're playing really well, like how we are. You know, you don't want to kind of overdo anything, but I think just playing hard covers up a lot of it, and I feel like I'm kind of already back in rhythm. Luckily, you know, this week that I missed was probably the best week to miss, just as regards to how many days we got off and kind of being able to practice with the team, and didn't really lose my win. So I kind of got a little lucky and fortunate there, but just trusting the team, and I think, you know, they have a lot of confidence in me to kind of just play how I am, and, you know, ultimately that kind of leads to me getting my feedback.
Following up on his question about just missing a couple of games and coming back, last year you had your initial injury that kept you out for a while, but you didn't, where you could kind of sit back and like get a different perspective on the team. This year you got to actually, you know, play in a lot of games, and then you sit back for a couple of games. Did that give you any different perspective on like maybe what the team needed from you or anything you needed to add?
Well, last year's a little different because I couldn't actually see, so. But yeah, I think just understanding the rhythm of how the team was going, especially kind of being a part of that to start the season. I think that also kind of contributed to kind of where the game was going, and I think I had a lot more to lean on. You know, when you're a rookie and you're hurt to start the year, you don't know like your role or position. So I think now I know where I'm going to be at, and still, so I think that gives me a little bit more confidence to be able to come in and still produce.
Jalen, Chet isn't shooting a wild amount of shots per game. A lot of his stuff comes within the game, and it feels like game by game he's kind of navigating that line between, you know, being aggressive, when to, you know, take that one-on-one opportunity with AD. And Mark mentioned that, you know, it stems from just his teammates having trust in him. Just what have those conversations been like with Chet in terms of his aggression and navigating that line?
He's unselfish, so that makes the game really easy for him. When you're a willing passer to be able to kind of create for others and create action with us and kind of just play, I think that opens up a lot for him to be able to drive and kind of get to his spots. And I think everybody's just kind of willing, so, you know, we let him rock out. You know, we know what we have as a player, so we let him rock out. Yeah.
Jalen, Mark's talked a lot this year about, you know, when you get to the level that Shai's gotten to, there's this pull kind of to be an individual and be away from the team, and that he sort of consciously fights that to stay with you guys. I wonder how you maybe see that manifest itself.
Yeah, he's around us all the time. He's a good dude, so it's always fun to be around him, and I think when that's your best player, I think it makes everybody more comfortable on the team to kind of be themselves. And yeah, he does I don't even really realize him making a conscious effort just because it's so fluid and cohesive. So we enjoy having him around, and, you know, that just speaks to how he is as a person.
Anybody else? Yeah. Last one, go ahead. Yeah, you guys are, 18 games into the season. Can you tell how people approach you? I mean, other teams, how they play you because of the run you made last year? You're off to a good start this year. Can you feel how teams are playing you now?
It's a lot more serious. You know, this might have been one of the games where, you know, they might rest people, you know, kind of looking back just as our track record. So I think now teams are taking us more serious. You know, we're just going out there playing hard. We didn't really have too much of an adjustment from last year in that regard. You know, we're going out there playing whoever kind of steps out there on the floor. And, But yeah, you can definitely feel it. I think everybody's starting to kind of respect us a little more, and we're kind of playing into that as well. Playing hard. And
You notice it from road fans?
no, I don't know about road fans. I don't really be paying attention to anything that's not going on within the lines.
Chet, Sam's used the phrase like flow state about the kind of way that you guys can get into a rhythm. It seemed like the second quarter you all really got to that place. What does it feel like on the floor when you're in that defense to offense zone?
Yeah, it starts on the defensive end, really playing as a unit, playing together and for each other, and then it kind of spirals into our offense. Everybody, when we get to that stage, and kind of what you're talking about, that flow state, I guess, it really comes down to everybody playing confident and not just themselves, but in others and playing for each other. Everybody's out there being aggressive and making the right play when the defense gives it to them. So, we just have to figure out how to get to that as often as we can throughout these games, especially against good teams like the Lakers.
And what have you been teaching Isaiah Joe about blocking shots? Because he had a couple big ones tonight, including the one on AD late that seemed to turn the tide.
No, I wasn't teaching him nothing. He's just a great player. I guess he had the juice himself, and he's out there. He's not just a shooter. He's out there doing a lot more than just shooting. Whether it's creating or what you're talking about, defense. It's not just blocks. He's got active hands in the passing lanes and on ball. Digging out rebounds too. He's big time for us on both ends.
Chet, I know you talk all the time about every night it's a great player in the NBA, but I just wonder if you look back at this week, it's a hell of a week going from Embiid to Gobert to AD. Just from your perspective, what that week was like, what maybe you walk away from it with?
Exactly what I was saying. It's the NBA, that's how it goes. Obviously, all great players, and these are really good teams too. So we just got to be steady throughout the season and figure out how to come out with as many wins as possible.
And then I think it's become almost easy for us to take for granted what Shai is doing. I mean, he gets 33 tonight, and it just sort of feels like a standard night. What's it look like to you from your vantage point?
Exact same thing. I said it last year watching all these games. No matter what happens, you might only remember him, maybe missing 4 shots in a row or something, and then at the end of the game you look up and he has 30. So it's like, no matter what happens, whether he makes it look easy, which he does a lot of nights, or whether the defense is really tough on him, you look up and he's Shai. So it's easy to take for granted, but we don't do that. We know the type of player he is and the type of guy he is, and we're happy to have him.
Yeah, obviously you haven't shot a lot of wild shots per se this season. Obviously, a lot of it is coming to the system. But it feels like with each game you're navigating advantages and kind of maybe finding, one-on-one buckets more. Just how have you maybe navigated that process of, when to be aggressive and just when to get your own bucket?
Yeah, I feel like I always need to be aggressive. Whenever I'm on the floor, I need to be aggressive. Any good players, out there to make a play. It's just coming down to understanding, what the defense is giving me, and if sometimes that's a one-on-one play, I have to be ready to make a play. I feel like early on in the game I wasn't aggressive enough in those situations, and as the game started going, I found a better rhythm with some of those plays, and when I start making the easier shots along with the harder shots, it's going to be an even better outcome.
Kind of a follow-up on that, but it seemed like you were learning as the game went on tonight. What all goes into, or I guess how tough is it to learn as the game goes on, especially going against a guy like AD?
Yeah, it's definitely something that you can prepare and watch film, but at the end of the day, you have to go out there and see it. Sometimes you prepare as much as possible so you're as ready as you can be from the tip, but you still have to adjust to the game flow and how it's going that night. And that's my first time playing the Lakers, first time playing AD, so kind of just learning what they do as a team and how he guards as an individual, and then kind of being able to read that and make a play based on what they're doing. It's just one of the many challenges of the NBA, and I'm looking forward to tackling each one as they come, and each time we play a new team, new player, it's just another one of those.
What have you done? I'm watching Summer League. You had problems with your dribble, maybe a little bit of high turnovers. I haven't noticed it at all in the first 18 games. What did you tighten up?
A lot of it is coach putting me in good positions where I can make reads based on what I'm seeing with the defense. In Summer League, there were times where I was kind of forcing plays, I guess. Just being out for a long time too, kind of my vision and seeing things before they happen was a little slow. But I've made a lot of adjustments, and huge credit to coach and teammates for putting me in a position to be successful, because if they weren't putting me in a good spot, things would be a lot tougher. So credit to them on that one.
Nick Gallo, OKC Thunder. Mark, just the big turnaround kind of end of the first quarter, beginning of the second quarter. What was that group able to do to flip the momentum of this one and get you playing the way you wanted to?
Yeah, I thought that was a huge stretch of the game, the end of the first. The group that was out there, we were down, I don't know what it was, probably 14 or 15, which is a huge deficit in the first quarter. And to get that into striking distance was huge. And then the group to start the second, got us back in the game very quickly. We were able to build a lead before halftime. So I thought that group, it got started late in the first there.
Just what a kind of pivot moment that Isaiah block from behind on Davis was, and can you kind of put into context what you think that meant for the game, even though you guys had a pretty solid lead? Yeah,
I thought it was like an energy, work win tonight. I just thought we really exerted ourselves on the game, in our defense, how we scrambled, our running. We were just fast tonight, and I thought we worked for that win. So that play, was included in that. But I thought we had a lot of plays tonight that were like that.
Mark spent a whole bunch of time asking you pregame about J-Dub with kind of those units where he's the primary guy. How did you think he struck that balance tonight?
I thought that unit was really good. I thought the ball really moved. We played in a really good flow. We were small, and we were flying around defensively, getting stops, put us out on the break. They shared it. He was on the gas tonight. But, long way to go. We're not even 20 games in. So are we 20 games in?
No.
Yeah, we're not even 20 games in, like I said. So there's ways to go here. We're going to keep building. It's going to be ups and downs, but, he and that unit were really good tonight.
And then I wonder, how would you put this week kind of into perspective for Chet, starting with Embiid, and then you go have Rudy Gobert, and then come back tonight with AD?
Yeah, learning experience. He's going to be a better player because of every experience he has, the way he interacts with his experiences. And even if this week was the biggest disaster you could imagine, he'd still be better for it because it allows him to calibrate, learn the league, get stress tested by some of the best players up front in the NBA. And he held his own, obviously, throughout the week. But the biggest thing is he'll learn from it and grow from it.
Mark, kind of along the same lines, Anthony Davis finishes with 31, but 15 of those came in the first quarter. Just how did you see, not just Chet, but the five-man defense kind of adjust to him throughout the game?
Yeah, we went small against him a good amount tonight, and so it was definitely a five-man defense. You can't defend him, with a small defender one-on-one. But I just thought we had a really, really good recognition of who they try to play through, and we put him in a crowd. I thought we did a good job, an appropriate job on James. Those guys got numbers tonight, and they were efficient because they're great players, but I thought there were a lot of possessions where we forced them out of what they want to do, made them uncomfortable, mixed defenses, used our energy. Like I said, it was an energy win. Used our energy to force them to plan B on a lot of possessions.
Yeah, and the Lakers are somewhat of like a middling rebound team, but obviously AD's a force in himself. Just how'd you feel the glass? Obviously, you out-rebounded 51 to 46. Just the team defense, the rebounding, how'd you feel that unfolded, especially with Isaiah Joe flying around and whatnot?
Yeah, I thought, like I said, all the way around it was just like an energy win. I think that's the theme. We just worked for that win. I thought we got hits on Davis. We didn't just leave it to one guy to block him out. I thought we got in there and got involved in the play. But I thought our energy in every facet of the game was really, really good tonight. We went out and earned a win in an NBA game, which is the mentality we have to have every night.
Yeah, you talked about Chet, but he seemed to kind of learn as the game was going on. Just specifically that aspect, what did you think about him learning as the game went on?
Yeah, I think that's the key. That's the key with him. It's the key with our team. I know we've gotten some good outcomes to start the season, but there's a long way to go. and there's a lot of learning ahead of us, and we can't get distracted by the outcomes of games, whether they're positive or negative. We've got to be a team that grows with the season and grows with our experiences. And Chet does a great job of that, but as a team, that needs to be our mentality because the road is long.
And then you guys played a few teams that are really good at drawing fouls, but you guys also play good defense. But tonight it seemed like you found that balance between playing really good defense and not fouling. What was the key to that?
Yeah, I thought we were really physical tonight. I thought, like I said, that was an effort win. We exerted a lot of energy on the game. It showed up on our defense. There were some of those fouls were just physicality fouls. Some of them were still cheap and things we can learn from. Reaching in on Reeves and letting him just kind of bait the officials into a foul. That's the stuff we've got to cut out. We've got to own that one. But things we can learn from. We didn't play a perfect game, but we played a hard game. Played it hard.
Yeah, Mark, you mentioned the rebounding earlier. Lou in the first half was really effective on the offensive glass. Is that something that he's just intuitively doing? Is that something you guys have looked at as a focus?
You guys have asked a lot about the defensive rebounding, but to start the season, we were really, really poor on the offensive glass. And a lot of it was our crashing. I mean, we weren't going enough. If you looked at our metrics from last season, and the last, I'd say, 8 games or so, we're sending more people. And I give the guys credit because we've had a couple games in there where we've sent a lot of guys and haven't gotten the ball, but we're staying with that. And that's what I'm talking about. We've just got to be a team that learns the lessons from the season, identify the things we're doing well, double down on them, identify the things that are holding us back, improve them, come to practice tomorrow, work on those things again, test it again against Dallas. We just got to repeat that, 65 more times or however many games we have.
Mark, we've asked you about just about everybody except the guy that had 33 points and was All-NBA last year. And this seems so routine for Shai, like what he's doing. What maybe aren't we seeing? What aren't we asking you that's going into what he's doing?
That's your job to figure out what you're not asking me. I don't know what you're not asking me. The invisible stuff, every player, there's invisible work that goes behind what you see out there on the court. His, like I've said before, great work ethic, great vision. He defends. He's a 2-end player, and he invests in the team. And that's the invisible stuff. He rebounds for guys on low intensity days where other guys are getting workouts. He'll pass in a workout. He's in the gym first on a lot of days, but he invests in the team. He's plugged into the group. He's invested in his teammates. Like I said before, there's a gravity that pulls great players away from the team. That's just a natural force in the NBA. And if you want to be a part of the team, it has to be intentional when you're on his level. And to his credit, he's intentional and he plugs back in every single day.
Mark, you always talk about advantages. You talk about the pregame when talking about Dub and how he's navigating that aggression. With Chet specifically, he saw a few advantages, with AD one-on-one, a few possessions. I know he doesn't shoot a wild amount of shots, but how are you seeing him navigate that level of aggression game by game?
Well, I thought, he's starting to stretch his limits a little bit, and we're good with that because he's a really talented player. Sometimes the game requires that. A couple of those were like low shot clock where he had to just go get a shot for us. And he's shown an understanding to this point of what an efficient, impactful, consistent style of play looks like. And when you build that kind of trust and equity in the locker room more than anything, then guys have you earn the bandwidth from your teammates to stretch a little bit. And I think you see that with all of our guys. Some of the threes Isaiah Joe will take, he takes tough ones, but he earns that, inside the locker room. So nobody really bats an eye at it. He doesn't make a habit of it. He's got a diet of very efficient shots, and so does Chet. And that's ultimately what we want with all our guys.
You threw some mention of the defenses. You threw it to guys. Was that a product they got off to the fast start, or did you know you were going to do that?
What defense?
The defenses that you said you mixed.
Yeah, mixed defenses. Yeah. We were planning on playing some zone tonight. We did that. We were planning on mixing our looks in terms of double teams. We continue to be a team that is learning when to do that, when it's appropriate. The guys are making those decisions on the fly, on the court. We're not necessarily calling those, and it's not a video game. We're trying to really teach them to be critical thinkers. And they're starting to really identify good situations to do that in. And I thought our guys' intellect showed up on that end of the floor tonight, and it keeps the opponents off balance when they don't know where it's coming from and when.
They're not as good as Minnesota with their zone, but then they threw something at you. You did better at it, learning from the other night, what Minnesota did against you, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you lose a game to Minnesota. I think it's easy to look at it and say, the zone messed us up. that's an opportunity for us, in disguise. Is every time something becomes a hurdle, that's how you get stronger through the season. Is you see hurdles and you figure out how to clear them. That's how we get better as coaches in terms of how we solve problems. It's how the players get better in terms of how they solve problems. And those stress tests make us better. And so the NBA is full of adversities, and we can't shy away from those, even if it loses us a game or something like that. We got to see the adversities as an opportunity. Thought we did a great job coming out of Minnesota, learning a couple things we could have done better against zone. Thought we did that better tonight. Made a couple more shots against it, which is helpful. And we've just got to do that in every facet.